Big shout out to Baba TV. I got a whole lot to say, but I gotta bring my little man to the skills and drills. Basketball, no books, no ball program. But I just once again, I want to acknowledge you being here.
That's right.
I think you being here is very important to this city. You know, just yesterday 2 days ago, I lost a cousin to attempted murder. Locked up on $75,000 bill. 6 hours later, I lost a cousin, shot 9 times, know what I'm saying?
The other day?
The other day, know what I'm saying? Out here, yep, know what I'm saying? But I was just watching a clip by Professor James Smalls.
That's right.
And he spoke about Malcolm's movement and Martin Luther King's movement, and he spoke about the individuals that were out there who were doing the footwork for these two brothers. And he said that the individuals who were out there were 15 to 18 years old.
Yeah.
Those were our soldiers.
That's right.
And right now, our soldiers are killing each other.
That's right.
And, you know, I had this conversation last night with my cousin. We were just in deep thought about, you know, the violence that's taking place and how these evil, I guess, these evil motherfuckers, they about to come for us.
That's right.
They about to turn up like never before.
Yeah.
And if we don't get our young soldiers in the right state of mind, we won't have no soldiers to fight this war.
That's right.
But big shout out to Baba TV. Once again, I'm very grateful to see you out here, brother. I'm very grateful to see you out here because I take this as a spiritual sign because my son lives right there. And for the longest, I've been waiting for that New York part of the conscious community to come step foot out here in Boston.
You know,
because, yes sir. Because the powers that be out here, they don't want to see this.
Right.
They do not want to see this. And I think this is just the beginning of something beautiful. Shout out to Baba TV, big time, man. Thank you for coming out here, brother, man.
Peace.
Word, peace.
Shout out to Baba TV, every time fire. Like and subscribe.
Shout out to Baba Fire every time. We right here in Dorchester live, baby. Yes.
Peace, love, and light, and black power. This is your brother Sankofa. Once again here on Baba TV, which you know is always fire every time. We're here in my hometown once again. You know we always come out here to Boston, Massachusetts. Occasionally, Baba's an honorary, is becoming an honorary Bostonian as much as he's been coming here lately, you know. But we want to cover down on a very good, interesting, and informative, and even controversial story. Something that made national news here in the United States of America, okay, that took place right here in my hometown, Boston, specifically in Dorchester. A young brother who was at the center of a big controversy regarding sports and athletes, specifically the Boston Red Sox. And being that we are right here in the city of Boston, I felt that the brother who is from Boston, the scandal that opened up a lot about specifically steroids and steroid usage amongst professional athletes in baseball, a lot of that was sparked here. And it gets a lot more interesting and intricate as we go into the dynamics of the story. Who I have here with me now, who I'm going to be interviewing today live on Baba TV, which is always fire, is a brother by the name of my brother, Carlos. His name is Carlos Cowart. All right? Say peace to the people, brother.
Peace, Baba TV, always fire, respect. Thanks for having me, King.
Now, going into the story, or going into what I know about you a little bit, you have a very solid background. You come from a very thorough area known as Mission Hill, the infamous Mission Hill projects in Boston, one of the oldest and at one time worst housing developments in the country. The brother comes from solid roots, a lot of the backgrounds that many of us from the inner cities come from, but he wasn't just a product of his environment, he was a product of just a great foundation. And he exhibited that throughout his life with things that he's contributed to in his community. Being a peer leader to the youth in the community, that definitely critically needed it. You know, amongst other things that led to what I basically was introducing the viewership to, about what you had to deal with as a person who was once interacting with the Boston Red Sox. A story that made national news, that exposed a lot of scandal going on within sports, in the sports world, but specifically baseball, and in particularly the Boston Red Sox. I want you to, introduce yourself a little bit more and go into the stories, and we're gonna feed off of each other back and forth. All right?
Yes, sir. Cool. My name is Carlos Cowart, born and raised Boston, Massachusetts. Grew up in the Roxbury Mission Hill housing project development. I'm a father, 41 years of age right now, father of two, a 21-year-old little girl and a 14-year-old little man. And this is, not my comfort zone, getting on in front of the camera like that, but I'm gonna see what happens. Just share a little bit of my story and just give you guys some insight on what it's like just being from Boston and dealing with this shadow that still lingers over my head. This story took place over 20 years ago, and to this day I'm still being asked about it from people of all ages, backgrounds, all different type of questions come to me regarding whether I still work there, was I compensated, what happened, and etc. So anything you like to know, please ask. To just begin, I started the job in 1996 and I left the job in 2000. Between 96 and 2000, there's a whole lot to say about my experience with the Boston Red Sox, my experience living in Boston, and my experience as far as going against the media, or the media and the machine using me as a scapegoat, which I like to think they did.
Wow. Very, very interesting for a lot of reasons on a lot of levels. So what I would want to go into first specifically is what led to the initial controversy, which as a result led to you being in the center of this controversy. A young black man from inner city Boston, Mission Hill projects. You had no aspirations, from what I looked up on about the case itself, right? And the whole shenanigans itself. You were a person, positive, hard worker, a person doing the right thing in a very rough place, which is not always easy. And I commend you for that. And as a result of you being a recipient of kind of award that was granted to the leadership in Boston, whereas the clubhouse manager, right? Am I saying it right? Of the Boston Red Sox, for the batting, he was doing a lot of the batting, right? Had reached out to you, and you have became a person that was a recipient of some kind of introductory that led you to be able to be not only amongst but be employed by the Boston Red Sox as a bat boy. Explain what that job was and where we go from there into how the controversy came about from that. That's where it started.
Okay. Well, like I said, I got the job in 1996. At the time, I was 15. In the month of February, 1996, the month of February, I was 15, working as a teen peer leader for preschool children at the Tobin Community Center. At the time, my mentor, one of the community center workers, who's a mentor or more like my boss, named Troy Karen, I think it was Troy Sanders. He called me into his office one day and told me he had an application for me. He didn't tell me what the job was. Okay. He just said, I have an application for you that was sent by the Boston Red Sox, and I think you should fill it out. At first, I was skeptical because, I'm a kid from the projects. I hear Boston Red Sox offering jobs. I'm thinking at the time that I'll be in the stands selling popcorn, peanuts, hot dogs. But, Troy convinced me to fill out the application. Unbeknownst to him, he had no idea what the job was as well. So I filled out the application, and long story short, the first day I went in for the interview was the first day I was hired, and it was the first day that I started the job. I didn't know I was the bat boy for the Red Sox, or that I was about to become the bat boy for the Red Sox, until my first day on the job. Wow. This was 1996, April 4th, opening day. So from 96 to 2000, it was a job that I believe any kid in America would have loved to have. I'm around millionaires. I'm working in $1 billion system. I'm meeting movie stars. At the same time, I'm a kid from the projects. And I think that's the biggest thing for me, I'm coming out of a place of darkness, and I'm going into a place of so-called light with these elite individuals, The highlight of all of this is the steroid incident. This particular incident is pre-Jose Canseco's tell-all book.
Okay,
I'm sorry.
And just to just to take for the viewers out there, I mean, me and you talked about it, but just to put it in perspective and contextualize it and put it in chronology, we know that steroids was at the center of it. I didn't mention that. But what led to initially, how did, that controversy and you, being a young kid from inner city Boston, get caught up in a steroid scandal, which is beyond you, which is something that you don't have a supply for, most likely? You're from the inner city back in the day. How do you get caught up in the center of that?
Well, like I said, Jose Canseco's tell-all book came out in 2005. Prior to 2005, from my knowledge, steroids and steroid use, it's always been a topic in mainstream sports, but I don't think it gained the media attention that my particular story did. What am I saying? ESPN and any other news station, they didn't put a microscope on steroids until I had my incident, my situation. What happened was a baseball player by the name of Manny Alexander, who was close friends with Sammy Sosa. He had got traded from the Chicago Cubs to the Boston Red Sox, and I believe he was replacing a third baseman or a shortstop. I can't remember, but long story short, on a particular night, I had asked him to use his vehicle, which was a Mercedes-Benz Jeep. He said yes. Around this time, the Red Sox, they were away playing the Chicago White Sox. So while they were away on a road trip, I had plans to, use his vehicle until they come back. One day, a friend of mine was parked right here on Blue Hill Ave, across the street from Franklin Field Projects. We had plans on driving to New York this particular weekend, to go to the Rucker game. Before we were gonna leave, I was dropping my daughter off. We were double parked. The hazard lights were on and everything. I ran into my house to drop my daughter off. On my way back out, there was a D-Tech parked behind us. A detective, a state trooper detective. We were parked. He didn't pull us over. As a matter of fact, when I got out the vehicle, I watched this state trooper drive around us. Checking us out. So when I went in the house, he must have went all around the block, because by the time I came back out, he was behind us. So he didn't pull us over. There wasn't no sirens to pull us over. We were already parked. He pulled up on us across the street from the projects, and with two little kids jumping out this expensive vehicle. At the same time, Mercedes-Benz Jeeps had just came out this same year. So I want to say, the night I got the vehicle, I checked the glove compartment to make sure the registration is there. When somebody loans you a vehicle, it's just Secondhand knowledge. Let me make sure the registration's in the glove compartment. So I checked the glove compartment, looking for the registration. I seen the registration. At the same time, there was an envelope with a syringe and a bottle of fluid. I worked for the Red Sox from 96 to 2000. This isn't the first time I've seen something like this, you know, so, but it's not mine. I'm just looking for the registration. I leave it where it's at, go about my business. Fast forward back to the state trooper pulling us over. No one was doing anything illegal. They pulled up on us. He had my friend step out the vehicle. He searched the vehicle. At the time, I was on probation for, I believe, possession of marijuana. I had just seen my probation 2 days prior to this, but the state trooper said I had a warrant, and come to my understanding, at the police station I had a straight warrant. When I got to the police station, another detective came in there and asked me if I knew what was in the glove compartment. I knew what was in the glove compartment, but I didn't know what he was asking me about because I didn't know what was in the glove compartment, if that makes sense, you know. I know, but I don't know. And so I end up bailing out for $25 because it was a straight warrant. So, right. So, like I said, the Red Sox are away playing the Chicago White Sox around this time. And so what happened is they locked me up for the straight warrant. They tow the vehicle. I get out. Now I'm just waiting for the team to return from their away trip. They come back. When I go back to work, you know, everybody at work is asking what's going on. The players, and even I want to say the hiring managers, the higher up, Dan Duquette, you know, people of this nature, the agents and everybody. And mind you, I'm only 19. I mean, looking back, I had no idea what I was going up against. I want to say that. So makes sense. When the Red Sox returned back to Boston after their trip in Chicago, I'm a kid, I know nothing, afraid of losing my job. I go back to work. What happens is, so a week after the incident, we're getting pulled over, the Red Sox return. When they return, I find myself behind home plate with the guy who hired me and Major League Baseball detectives. We're behind home plate. Major League Baseball detectives. And you know, looking back, this is where I scratch my head and I say, wow, I didn't know. I had no idea that I was caught up in this, or that I was being used as the scapegoat. And so I'm 19, talking to Major League Baseball detectives and the guy who hired me. We're behind home plate at Fenway Park. And they're asking me if I knew what was in the glove compartment. I'm like, no, I didn't know what was in the glove compartment. They're saying, don't worry about nothing, you're not in trouble. They're asking me about my friend, and they're asking me all these questions. At the end of the question, the Major League Baseball detective says to me, don't worry about nothing, Carlos. You're not in trouble. Your name won't be in the paper. I'm 19. I know nothing about this media world. But when he says that, my voice or my intuition says, why'd you say that? So we separate. I go back to work. For a whole month, there's no story in the paper. For a whole month, I'm going to work, to school, and it's as if the story never happened. I wake up one morning, my sister comes into my room and says, Carlos, the phone. She gives me the phone. It's the other bat boy. He's on the phone. Long story short, he says, Los, that shit's in the paper. This is a month later. I forgot all about the incident. I'm like, what are you talking about? He's like, that shit's in the paper. Excuse my language. He says he's in summer school and the teachers had to rush him out the class because he has reporters up there trying to speak to him. At the same time, my sister comes in and tells me there's reporters right outside her door who want to get a story on me. I turn on ESPN News. Stuart Scott, rest in peace, Stuart Scott, is shitting on me. My last name is Cowart. People pronounce it Cowart. But because I didn't give the media my story, that's all you heard from ESPN, from Boston Weed Radio, and every other radio station was clowning my last name, calling me coward, saying he's a coward because I wouldn't give him my story. It was real out here. It was too real because Boston's a real small city, man. And it's a real small city, man. And you know, when your face is on TV, like myself, and you know, people think you're a celebrity. You're with millionaires. You're with movie stars, like 90 days out of the year. You know, and so I couldn't escape. Hey, look, don't you work there? So I'm sorry, I just went somewhere else. So
it's all pertinent.
shit hit the fan for a week or two, a month. I don't know. I just can't. Everywhere I go, ESPN News, they're shitting on me. So what happened was Manny Alexander, the baseball player. So now his shit hit the fan. Now the news is saying the bad boy got caught with steroids in Manny Alexander's vehicle. Manny Alexander is close friends with Sammy Sosa, Dominican guys. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So now things are hitting the fan. So Manny Alexander, his agent and his lawyer comes to my house.
Damn.
On Blue Hill Ave. Come to my house and they say, they're asking me what happened, boom, boom, boom. Manny Alexander and his, at the end of this conversation, when everything's over, Manny Alexander and his lawyer and his agent, they go on about their business.
Yeah.
Manny Alexander stays behind. Me and him have a one-on-one. Manny Alexander says, Carlos, get your boy. No, I take care of you. That's what he's saying. As his lawyer, his agent going about their business. He's like, go get your boy, make sure he comes to court so we can boom, 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 and I take care of you, right? Let me say, the media did some work on me. I had a criminal record at the time. It's nothing major, but like I said, my name was spoken about more than anything regarding this case when it comes to mainstream news and media. And so, excuse me for jumping everywhere, but so what happened is after, and I'm going everywhere because it's so long. It's been so long since I told this story.
So as we continue with the interview about how basically, my brother Carlos Cowart, you were the scapegoat. You were, you were the fall guy, and the problem is this. That is just so typical and so much of a familiar thing that we see here, where if you're young, black, and disenfranchised, and you're in the knowledge or knowing of something that is beyond you, that you may just be around and observe because of the place where you're employed at, and you're caught up in the controversy because they're not trying to take a big loss, and they already see you as, a scapegoat or a fall guy or expendable at a time like that. That's basically what took place, is what I'm getting from this. But it gets a lot more intricate and a lot more interesting. You know what I mean? So I want you to go into like how this led to basically you being made the fall guy and the scapegoat, right? And the expendable one, how this led to the controversy and opening the topic, the dialogue, and the whole thing that was going on, blowing the lid off of the whole steroid scandal in sports. Let's go into that, Bumper.
Well, as I said before, just pick up from where I left off. So So Major League Baseball detectives told me my name would not be in the paper.
Yeah.
And a month later, my name was in the paper. Not only that, but I was the talk of the time. I was the talk of the whole topic. I mentioned Manny Alexander and his lawyer and his agent coming to my house, speaking about the case, as well as Manny Alexander saying, you know, he'll take care of me if my friend and I showed up to court and just told our half of the story. So what happened was, I had 4 or 5 court dates to appear at Dorchester Court for this situation. Each time I went to court, I never went into the courtroom. I never saw a judge. I would always go to the clerk's office, sit and wait for someone to come out and tell me I had another court date. On the 5th court date, I went there to see what had happened, went to Dorchester Court, and sure enough, case dismissed. Nobody was charged, case was just thrown out. The Boston Red Sox, they decided to relocate me, take me out the clubhouse, because not only was I the bad boy, I was also a clubhouse staff member where I did work in the clubhouse. But because of the incident and the fact that they had to remove me from the players, so they decided to put me in maintenance. I just wasn't having it, you know. At the same time, I was under a lot of pressure, you know, and I didn't have no support. I didn't have no backing, no proper guidance on what I should do, blah, blah, blah. So for me, I guess I sort of gave them what they wanted because they didn't have my story. You know, they was able to run my name through a dirt, and because of my own sadness, depression, I disappeared, you know. And I guess it kind of seemed like that's what they wanted. But looking back on all of this, you know, this is before Jose Canseco's 2005 Tell It All book, and you know, I would like to think, and I could be wrong, but you know, I think that my particular story within the sports world with steroids is the first of its kind, and it opened the doors for Jose Canseco to do what he did. But you know, the thing with my story is that when I look at it, I'm like, wow. Major League Baseball detectives were speaking to me with no adults, with no lawyers.
Wow.
You know, I was a teenager. I thought I knew when I was 19, but looking back, I don't know shit. I don't know nothing. But I'm looking back at everything and I'm like, whoa, wait a minute. When I look at it in a deeper way, I'm like, wow. They really use me to cover. They used little old me as a scapegoat to cover what was going on in MLB as a whole. Like I said, when I seen the syringes in that bottle of fluid, it was normal to me. I worked there from 96 to 2000. That's the steroid era. I mean, you know, the 90s. That's the whole steroid era. You know, and it was something normal to me. But when I found out, as a matter of fact, it was illegal steroids. Not only were they illegal, but they weren't even supposed to be in this country. And so, you know, to this day, I still get asked about it. I can't remember who's the famous investigator on steroids in baseball, but to my knowledge, there's a report where he himself said that I was used as a scapegoat. And if you ask me,
Primary source.
I believe it wasn't just I who was used as a scapegoat, but it was also the MLB players who were used as a scapegoat, because I think it was something deeper than the players. I think it was the owners protecting the game, protecting themselves. And I say that because, like I said, I see this stuff all the time, you know? And I'm like, why wait a month later to put my story out there? It was too calculated for me.
Let me ask you a question real quick. Right? These mosquitoes are out here. So if you see us fidgeting, family out there, and scratching and digging, and we ain't got the heebie-jeebies, okay? And these mosquitoes out here is real, and they are not playing. We're in a housing development known as Franklin Field Projects, infamous Franklin Field Projects in Boston, right? But these mosquitoes is real in the field right now. So what I want to go into next, right, bro? I mean, you shared a lot with us. It's a very deep story, all right? I mean, and my heart goes out to you. I mean, that's a lot to have to deal with from, coming from where you came from and to having a taste of the high life, so to speak, by proxy of the job that you did and the kind of environment that you were exposed to, right? Yeah. I'm sure that gave you a lot of high aspirations to want to do great things. So to have that pulled from under you, right? To have that rug pulled from under you in the manner and for the that it was and for the reason that it was, right? One can only deduce that a lot of mental stress had to come out of that. There had to been a lot that you had to deal with. What was it like dealing with and moving forward after that? Just in the community, amongst people who formerly knew you, how did you feel and how did you internalize that? Let's go into that, because that can have a very deep impact on a person emotionally or mentally, I would assume. If it had any impact on you, what would you say?
Man, fame is a motherfucker, man. Excuse my language again, And once again, Boston is a small city, man. You cannot escape someone not knowing you in here. And when, once again, when your face is on TV, everybody knows you. And so let me say this, right? Prior to having this job, you know what I'm saying? And this is going to sound like the ugly duckling story, but prior to having this job, I wasn't the popular guy. I wasn't with the cool kids. I didn't have the jewelry, none of that. You know what I'm saying? I was considered, the ugly duckling, a square. I just wasn't part of the cool gang. But once I got this job, everybody wanted to know me. Everybody wanted to be my friend. The girls wanted to know my name, and so on and so on. And so it was all fun for 4 years. Yeah. But once shit hit the fan, everybody turned their back on me. There wasn't no support there. When you see your face, when you're watching ESPN and you're not an athlete, and they're talking about you like you're an athlete, and they're talking about you in a bad way, who do you talk to when there's no support cast? You know what I'm saying? No mother, no father to say, yo, these people, I just didn't know what to do at the time. You know what I'm saying? There's another part to it as far as the mental sickness, because this incident put me in a real dark place where I had to seek spirituality to come up out of it. And because of spirituality, I'm grateful to be sitting here sharing this story with you right now. The mental sickness part to it is, man, I was in a dark place, man. A serious stage of depression where I end up what I say is, I started, I developed OCD, obsessive compulsive disorder, where I began to self-mutilate myself, man. Like, really self-mutilate myself. And I can say that right now because it's something I address, something I looked into, and something I'm dealing with. But, yeah, man, there's another part to it, a little bit uncomfortable saying it because this is a first time thing for me, but the biggest part is, man, just dealing with that pressure of being a black male, and how when the media talks about you, I don't care if you didn't do it. I don't care how much money you got. You're going against a machine, and I was 19 years old going against a machine. I had no idea that this machine was eating me alive, man.
Wow, that's deep. That's real deep, man. And to, just to see you To add on, if I may, to see you strong, solid, appear to have a very strong, focused demeanor. For the viewers out there, the first time I met this brother was years ago. On the first time, this is the fourth time Baba's been in Boston. The first time Baba ever came to the city of Boston was in 2016. And we were in front of Warren Gardens, another housing development out here in the city of Boston, out in Roxbury. And we just happened to be on the corner talking. And we were doing an introductory about what we were going to be talking about in the city, right? And you had walked by. And you was with your son. It was real cold that day. I know, I'm sure you remember. You don't forget that kind of cold. Like, we're not going to forget these mosquitoes either. We're going to be talking about this in the future, too, on another video. No, but on the real, and you were walking by with your son. You was going to the No Books, No Ball program. No Books, No Ball program. And you spoke on the video briefly. This is about 5 years ago. And, you were eloquent, you were strong, and, you had your little man with you. And to see you overcome basically what I'm getting into, and because we met and I ran into you another time visiting Boston, we exchanged numbers, boom, this came up, you shared with me, and now here we are talking about it now. But it's the universe is like a big, intricate jigsaw puzzle that connects the dots of things that are meant to be. If that makes sense, and it feels like the way I met you initially, I always remember when you came up, that was one of the most profound videos for me, right? Interacting. I've done a lot of videos over the years because of how it happened and the spontaneity of how it happened and where the dialogue went, to run into you years later, which was only a couple of months ago, and to lead us to right here now, and looking at, from what I know that you've accomplished, you're a very conscious brother too, A lot of other people who deal with stress and trauma, maybe to a greater magnitude or to a lesser one, but nonetheless, stress is stress, and people internalize it and deal with it differently. How did you maintain your strength, and what would you be able to share with other brothers or sisters? Because we are people that mental health, right, is the big elephant in the room that is not often spoken about, or not spoken about enough, or critically dialogued enough with solution orientation attached to it. For a person who dealt with it, who was, I would consider, woke, conscious, revolutionary minded, meaning about complete constructive change, going through what you went through, and knowing that this is a crisis in our community, mental health, and which deals with a lot of rooted in emotional distress and depression and anxieties from other different things, intergenerationally, sometimes just in a community, and sometimes interpersonally with your own experiences and your own lifetime, right? What would you be able to share with people as an example of yourself and how you maintained and endured for those who may be going through some stress in their life right now and trauma?
Man, that's a beautiful question, a heavy question, and the first thing that comes to mind is my inner reflection of myself. That conversation I had with myself that was coming from inside, not the conversation I was giving myself, but there was an inner voice that said, I went through what I went through for a reason, and I went through what I went through to help people, but it's up to me to take what I went through and transform that experience and use it to reflect on my brothers, my sisters, and I'm talking about my mother's kids, you know what I'm saying? Then my brothers and sisters outside of my mother, I come from a spiritual family, whether it be Islam, whether it be Christianity, whether it be Nuwapic or Morisani. I come from this particular family that had some form of knowledge of self or some high level of consciousness. And when I was going through, what was funny is that while I'm working with the Red Sox, I'm just learning these things. I'm learning these things about supreme mathematics, Nuwapic, God body, the conscious community. I'm just learning these things at these times. So, you know, when I look back at it, you know, and, you know, I say my spirit was pulling me from being a part of, let's say, MLB in that world, because we know that world can be toxic, you know, and I like to think that some of our athletes are, you know, our military soldiers. Are our military soldiers, and maybe my higher self or God had another plan for me around that time, but it was pulling me away from there, whether I liked how it was pulling me away from there or not. But what I could tell the people is that, you know, your health is your wealth, man. You know, what helped me, or what's helping me stand firm here right now, is the fact that I'm searching for healing. Is the fact that my inner voice told me I need some healing. And I had to put in work as far as study and practice in order to heal myself, you know. And so my thing is perseverance and resilience, and knowing that like there's no excuses. I gotta wake up the next day. You know what I'm saying? Ain't nobody gonna help me. I had to help myself, because during that experience from 96 to 2000 and after, I saw that no one helped me. The Red Sox organization didn't even help me. They didn't reach out to this. I tell you like this, a friend of mine ran into Tim Wakefield, the legendary knuckleball pitcher, and Wakefield knows that this is my friend. Wakefield asked my friend about me, how's Carlos? And Wakefield told my friend that guy named Danny told Danny that he wished he could have done more for me. Here it is 20 years later, and this is probably something I wanted somebody within this organization to say, but nobody within this organization reached out to me. You know, so, but when I look back at everything, and I sit here and say I'm 41, I'm grateful for being able to breathe, being able to do what I do, be this reflection for my loved ones, friends, family. I say I couldn't stop. I could not do this even if I wanted to. It's an inner voice that says, nigga, this is what you're supposed to do. I can't even give you a straight answer, because this is what I'm supposed to do.
That's real.
You know what I'm saying?
You know, the straight answer is always the real answer. And when you speak from the heart, that is, remember, the body is the temple, right? Your breath is a prayer, right? And your thoughts are a seed. So what you just did was manifest true religion, but in its realest and purest form, within being real with yourself for the people. And I respect you and salute you. And, you know, a lot of us have a lot of, you know, things that we go through and have been through and are traumatized as a result of, and we internalize that, and that eats away and eradicates at our spirit, and it is an antithesis to our spiritual development or our self-provement capability. You, my friend, after going through what you went through, my brother, I salute you. I respect you. I thank you very much for the interview. And I've built with you. You're a very insightful, knowledgeable person. I mean, you can go and engage in a plethora of different topics. And I'm only saying that to say this. I hope to see you on Baba TV again, which I know we will. And we can build upon a love of things, or we could even go into this subject more later, because I know it only gets deep. And when you got to consortiumize something that is so complex and critical as a case like that, sometimes we got to do it in segments. So until next time, my brother Carlos, all right, anything you want to say to the people in closing?
Love and light. Shout out Baba TV. Fire every trip, every time. Thanks for having me, man. I look forward to sharing and doing more, raising this vibration and this frequency out here, man. Because you know, wickedness is working overtime, and I'm noticing my story is a story no one has heard on this planet. It's something new, and we definitely are in a new world. So mad respect, Baba TV. Fire, man.